Like, that would be a great video. Like
I feel like the views would zoom up.
Oh yeah, Audrey and Caleb burn her house down.
This works.
Let's do one last check. Make sure the framings are right and all that, because these are things I worry about now.
As you should.
Also, please don't catch your hair on fire either.
Oh.
Well, that would.
just tell me if it's on fire.
Just do a hair flip.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well.
Oh, it's in the tea too. All right.
Oh,
here's
nice
your
tea.
Unless you want the Philippines mug.
No, this is good. This is good.
Okay, this is fine.
Also, we're recording.
I know. I saw the recording button.
Yeah,
and
I did it.
To SG too,
I did it
so
to SG.
I wasn't really concerned.
This is fair. Hello, welcome. I'm here today with my very, very good friend Audrey. You may notice the bookshelf is different. I'm visiting her house, and we just decided to hang out and chat about fantasy in film, which that's what we're gonna try to talk about. Hypothetically. We'll see if we actually end up talking about it. But that's the goal. So now we can accurately measure how far we fall short from it.
Can we not, please?
Isn't that what goals are for?
My self-confidence doesn't need another blow. This is okay. We're fine.
All right. Well, what was your first fantasy film adaptation that we wanted to talk about?
You said what was my first, and I started automatically thinking of my first fantasy movie ever.
Ooh, do tell.
Okay.
Do tell.
It was probably Lord of the Rings, but I don't remember it being Lord of the Rings.
Respect.
No, I think it was Neverending Story though.
Ooh, okay.
It was because it was just the scene with the horse, which you will understand broke everybody.
Oh man. Okay, so I haven't read this book, nor have I watched this movie, but I'm already hooked. Can I borrow it?
Yes.
Can I borrow the book?
Yes,
Okay.
that sounds nice.
Maybe I'll review it on the channel. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what was your experience with that, as a fantasy film? That's such a big question. I don't know.
It was a very vague question, so I'm gonna adapt it.
Okay, that's good. On brand.
Yes, I know. My second fantasy film was Harry Potter. And I think what kind of all fantasy movies and books did to me, I first experienced with Harry Potter. I had a phase where it was in Brazil.
I feel like everyone has a Harry Potter phase.
It was. I denied it later. I had a whole phase where I hated Harry Potter. But before that, I was 7, and every night I would dream that Ron Weasley came out of my closet and said, "Come to Hogwarts." And every morning I would wake up and cry because I wasn't at Hogwarts, and it was this.
What was Ron doing in your closet?
It just happened. It was this terrible ache that I carried with me for many years because I wasn't at Hogwarts.
I mean,
it was.
That makes a lot of sense though, and I feel like that's kind of stereotypical of the fantasy genre.
Mm-hmm.
Of we've talked about Fair and V. If you remember that, side note from one of my earlier videos, she's the one who got me onto Fair and V and Gemütlichkeit. I'm butchering those. I'm sorry to all of them.
Just a teeny bit.
Just a bit. I'm a bad German.
Oof.
But yeah, I mean, that makes sense because that's what fantasy is about. It's showing us places that we couldn't go otherwise.
Okay, so what was your first experience with fantasy movies, shows, etc.?
First experience. So I live under a lot of rocks, but the pile used to be bigger. And so, I didn't watch Lord of the Rings till I was in my teens. I know, right? I feel like such a bad fantasy fan because I love those movies.
Let
and
the gatekeeping begin.
Because all my friends are oh, I watched that movie all the time as a kid. I'm I watched VeggieTales.
Is VeggieTales fantasy?
I don't know. It's a fantasy retelling of, because it's technically fantasy because it's using elements that couldn't exist in real life, and like talking animals is a hallmark of fantasy. So like, why not talking fruits and vegetables?
Okay. Motion ratified.
But-
VeggieTales is fantasy. Go.
Yes. But after that, I think my first fantasy movie would have been Princess Bride.
Aww.
And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. And that was, I guess that's kind of, was that definitive? Or did I just really like it? I'm not sure.
Same difference?
Yeah, but it was, I really love that movie. I still quote it on the daily.
No, you do? No way.
Anybody want a peanut?
Oh, I've spent many long years trying to master these voices as well. So, but yeah, I think I kind of like, I like that whimsicality that Princess Bride has. And I think every time I go back to fantasy, like I love Brandon Sanderson, I love Lord of the Rings, but I feel like the stories that really hit home for me are like The Hobbit, the Wingfeather saga. And I think it's because of that first experience of like the whimsicality and the fun and just like adventure of it. I don't know. I need to look into this a little more, do some introspection.
Oh, yes.
But
No,
yeah.
I get what you're saying, because, like, what would you say is the most, what you're talking about, Sanderson book? I'm trying to think of, like, a spectrum of...
I don't know. I mean, you have, like, I guess it's just, like, gravity versus whimsy, I would almost say.
I would rebut that with The Hobbit.
This is true. This is true. Then what's on the other side of the spectrum, then?
It feels like a cynicism versus more of like a childlike perspective on things. Because on one hand you've got like, who am I thinking? I guess Sanderson. Like a more modern fantasy that's very much not whimsical and very much adult, even if it's not written as adult.
Right.
You know? And then you've got The Hobbit.
It's written with like adult sensibilities, almost.
Right. Okay.
Does that make? I don't know if that makes sense.
Does it have to make sense? No.
It doesn't.
No,
it doesn't.
it does not.
But I get what you're saying. There's like, I would say like on the far end of that spectrum, you have like grimdark and George Martin and stuff like that. And then I would almost put Sanderson on the middle of like, maybe would you call it like wonder versus cynicism?
Yes.
Maybe? I don't know. We're not going to find the right words, but we're going to keep trying. Oh, and then, yeah, you'd have The Hobbit over here, the Wingfeather saga, stuff like that. Oh, that's interesting. Have we talked about like a single fantasy movie yet?
Yes, we talked about
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, we talked about Neverending Story, we talked about Harry Potter, we talked about Princess Bride. We've got four franchises.
I feel like in my mind I was talking about the books, but because that was my entry into fantasy.
Did not understand the assignment. Oh no.
This is the hey, can I copy your homework? We had homework. that one's me.
Oops, wait, which one?
Huh? We had homework.
Oh, okay, fine.
I feel like you would be either no LOL or red.
See, I wish, but usually it ends up being more like, here's how to do the homework. Here are all the resources.
Oh.
Please do it so I don't have to do this again.
It's, I'll help you.
I'll help you, but not willingly. I don't want to be doing this right now.
In spirit, you're red at 5:55, but in practicality, you're, I'll help you with it.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Which one are you?
Oh, I'm probably a mix between I'll help you with it and we had homework. That's like, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Or I know we had homework, I haven't done it yet. You're on your own.
Your track record is very good for someone with this outlook.
It's duct tape and prayer, I'm telling you. That's the only thing that got me through high school. Duct tape and prayer.
I can believe it.
Oh. Okay, back on track. What's your favorite fantasy film, and why do you love it?
Oh no. There are so many, and also not enough for brain.
Understood.
I mean, favorite for nostalgia purposes?
Mm-hmm.
Probably Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, of course.
Favorite for enjoyment purposes? Probably one of the really campy 80s ones, like Willow, Legend, Princess Bride.
Okay.
I love the cheesy vibes.
Why do you love it? Why do you love the cheesy vibes?
Well, there's no ambiguity, and sometimes that's nice. Like, sometimes I like being able to see this is the terrible dictator who is dressed in black and wears pointy shoes and like eats children, and this is our hero who is very small and pure and wears like a small cloak and has dreams. sometimes I need this.
Do you feel like it helps to reconnect with your inner child?
That was deep. Suppose so. That was a very aggressive slurp you just did.
I'm sorry.
In some cultures, it would be considered impolite.
Oof.
Oof. But if we're talking fantasy, I feel like hobbits would slurp.
Oh yeah.
Hobbits and dwarves.
Because
like, with no shame.
Because in some cultures, slurping is polite.
I don't feel like we even have a culture here. Like, specifically in this house, there is no culture.
I feel like there's just 12 cultures, and so none of them can assert dominance over the other.
This is true.
But, like, seriously though, like, that's what I love about studying other cultures, is, like, in China, if you slurp your noodles, like, everybody does it. You go into a noodle shop, and they're all like... because that's how you eat them. And it's just, I don't know. I like observing.
That is how you eat them.
And
I have to eat my noodles in private because nobody will watch me slurp. This is like my last stand.
But like when you think about it, this is how noodles were designed to be eaten. You have really long, slippery food pieces. And now people are saying, okay, so you need to stick this pokey thing down, spin it around, and then pick it up, and half of them are gonna fall off, and there's the one little thing that's dangling down here that you're not gonna be able to get, and so you're gonna get like sauce on your chin. No.
Please explain this to the West.
Thing,
Please explain this to the Western civilization, because
I know,
everybody needs to know this.
But like noodles were designed to. That's how they were made to be eaten. This is how God intended noodles to be eaten, I believe. Hot take of hot.
But were noodles predestined?
Noodles were predestined.
For what? Slurping?
Yes.
Just slurping, that's all?
Just slurping. Noodles were the only thing that were predestined ever.
Noodles are elect. Headcanon.
I'm gonna spill my tea.
Do you need a towel?
No, I haven't yet, but I'm going to if we keep this up. Oh.
So.
Now that we have thoroughly ruined our online reputations. Fantasy movies. So,
most visually pleasing fantasy movie or show.
Ooh,
Go.
Visually pleasing.
Not just fanciest.
Okay. I think, let me think. I'm trying to think of all the fantasy films or shows that I've watched. We've got Merlin. That's definitely not the one.
Yes, it is. Everybody's so pretty, though. They're all so pretty.
Are
I'm sorry. Especially the dragon.
All the
Honestly,
VFX, top tier. Rings of Power, which we need to talk about later. Watched Wheel of Time. Watched Shadow and Bone, and that was actually like the visual style in Shadow and Bone.
It looks very pretty.
Very well done. But honestly, I think what's gonna take the cake is Lord of the Rings.
Can we stop doing this?
Apparently
we can.
But it's the best. Like when you think about consistency with the visuals and like all of the little subtle details that go into like every culture feels unique. Like you go into Rohan and you're like, oh, I can recognize someone from Rohan based on their clothes, but it feels so cohesive. And that's something that very few people manage, is like, I can see the subtle distinctions, but it's all smoothed over. This is all Middle Earth. And like you'll find that in the visual styles and the visual motifs throughout the Lord of the Rings movies, is it's consistent, but there's these subtle nuances that just, it's so good. Yeah. What about you, though?
Okay. Most visually pleasing fantasy movie or show?
Yeah.
Hot take. I feel like everybody during the filming of Neverending Story was really high. And things that are the product of people being really high are my favorite. So, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's very like cover of an 80s soft rock album vibes. It's really great. It's really
That's
strange.
fantastic.
Led Zeppelin vibes. For some reason, I don't know why. It just has them.
Okay. I need to watch this now.
That was not a very fantasy fan answer, but
I mean,
oh well.
We're here to break stereotypes, I guess. Are we?
We're not as funny as we think we are. We're really not funny.
But we think we're really funny.
Does that make us funny?
More or less. Deep. Very deep.
Okay. If you had to live in Middle Earth,
alright.
what race would you be? Where would you live? Yeah, that.
I mean, this is gonna sound like such a cheap answer, but I'm gonna be a hobbit, and I'm gonna live in the Shire.
And you're just gonna stay there?
I could be like Bilbo, go on adventures, maybe.
Okay.
But honestly, like, if I were just to stay in the Shire my whole life, I would be happy.
Whoa.
Like, the Shire is my happy place. Like, when I need to relax, I put on Concerning Hobbits. And I just, like, it gives me, I don't know what it is, but just like, Wait. Are we going movie or books?
And or?
Okay, so if we're going books, my answer is different.
Okay.
And I would live in Lothlorien. I can't. Lothlorien. I can't say that.
I heard Lothlorien for just a
Lothlorien.
Ouch.
But, I mean, y'all, if you were keeping up with the channel, you saw my video on Galadriel. And just that, like, magic and the wonder. And that scene where they're having a party with the elves. And they're, like, out in the fields.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a banquet table. And they're all... And there's just, like, just that palpable sense of joy. I would live in Lorien. That's where I would... I don't know. There's something about it.
Okay.
I would still be a hobbit, though.
Okay.
What about you?
I need some grit to be happy. I wouldn't live with the elves because they have no grit to them. I wouldn't live with the hobbits because they would probably they would probably not like me being there.
One of the big folk.
Very, very tall big folk.
I feel like you would be a Took. And
if anything Hobbit related, yes.
yeah.
But I would be Aragorn. That's just, I mean, I would be a human who walks around vaguely in the woods
and
as an occupation.
protects the small beans.
Protects the small beans, yes.
Honestly, I can see that for you.
And I can have like the oily hair.
Yes.
Okay, do you remember when I cut my hair like in January?
Yes, I
And
do
it was
remember that.
So bad. It was like this long. I watched Lord of the Rings and I saw Farmer with like his blonde hair and it was like that length, vaguely wavy. What have I done? I'm Farmer.
Farmer's a great character though.
He wasn't my first book crush. He was in the line.
Oh,
he was like
it was
very serious.
Spill the tea.
No, my very first book crush was Legolas. Because I was 4 and I
You were 4? How?
Shut up. Shut up. No. Because I thought that he lost his legs in battle. I thought that was... Shut up. I thought that's what his name was. And I was like, such honor. Such valor. And so I was sold.
I'm sorry. That's too good.
Skipped my Aragorn phase. Didn't like the oily hair.
That's surprising. Most of the people I've talked to had an Aragorn phase.
I don't know. He was a little too mumbly for me.
He is a little mumbly.
And greasy and hesitant to take on responsibility.
I can see how that would turn you off.
No.
Oh.
Like, if you're not completely ready and willing to take the throne, then no.
Oh.
No.
See, that's why I like him, because I can relate to that. But you, like, have a force of will, so you know.
I just don't want to knock people over that I have to deal with. Alright, first book crush, go.
Oh, first book crush. See, I'm not really the book crush type, but there have been a few.
Okay.
There have been a few. Trying to think of what the biggest one, and the one that like I could still kind of get behind today, is Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. Just reading it, I was like, oh yeah, we'd get along. We'd be friends. So yeah, that was a book crush, and whoever plays her is really hot.
Being totally candid. What's her name?
Oh.
Ivana Lynch?
Yeah, that's her, Ivana Lynch.
10 points to Slytherin. Okay, now we know your feelings on Ivana Lynch.
I mean, I'm just being honest.
Okay, good,
like,
good.
It's not something I think about very often, but
That's
if I'm gonna be like completely bluntly honest, yeah,
okay,
sure.
Okay. Who else?
Who else?
That's
Let
the
me.
only one I've heard.
I wanted to
You
look
have
at
a
my
list?
Goodreads, but I'm recording with my phone.
Okay. For a second, I thought you kept a list of your literary
No.
crushes. I was like, whoa, that's committal.
No, it would be a very short list. I'm just looking at your gorgeous shelf, by the way. We just reorganized we just reorganized this the other day.
No, you're right. It was my other day.
It was your other day. It was not my day. Most days aren't. Trying to think, did I have a crush in any of Sanderson's stuff? Because
Paladin?
no, he's cool.
I didn't
Paladin's
have the Paladin
great.
phase either. I skipped
No, you don't seem to be. Again, it's that uncertainty and that like kind of.
It would be a relationship focused on therapying him all the time.
Right.
It would be tiring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think Kaladin is in a good place to have a relationship right now. Like,
But the Stormfather.
Storm.
Can I just say?
Audrey ex Stormfather.
Lightning crackles.
Spicy.
Oh no.
All right, guys, ship Audrey with the Stormfather in the comments.
Write fanfics if possible.
Oh, yes. If we write a fanfic in the comments. I can't speak today. Write a fanfic in the comments about Audrey and the Stormfathers romance. Let's do it.
I'm dead.
Oh.
I've died.
You have died. It's not the first time.
Uh-huh. Won't be the last.
Nope. Honestly, I feel like Luna's the only one.
Really?
I think Luna's my only, like, book crush. I had a slight movie crush on the girl from Jojo Rabbit.
You have a type.
I do have a type.
Hyper specific. Okay.
Yeah, but what we looked her up. What was her name?
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
wasn't paying attention.
Me neither. I'm never paying attention.
I know. Did you ever read Henry V?
No.
Okay, I also had a Henry V phase.
Is this another one of the old man?
No, he was like 30.
You're what?
Shut up. Well, his wife, Catherine, was 14 when they married, historically, so.
Is that...
Better than, 17 is better than 14.
Are you gonna use this to justify?
No, because I realized it was just because I wanted to be him.
Oh, that's fair.
Same thing with Hector from the Iliad.
Oh, Hector's very you.
Hector's such a mood. Especially the part where he gets dragged around on a chariot. I felt that very strongly.
Oh. For a second, I thought we were gonna get demonetized for the Henry V crash. You saved it, though. You saved it. Yeah. Although not like I'm making money off of this anyway. I have 47 subscribers.
That might have changed within the last, 2 hours.
This is
true. You might have gone global.
I mean, because we did talk about burning the house down. In jest.
True.
YouTube algorithm. Wink, wink.
Just so beautiful.
Okay, why do you want to be Henry V?
Because, one, he's incredibly rhetorical. Just the way he speaks. Let me find,
Okay, find us a good monologue.
Well, here, Act 4, scene. Scene 1.
Can you do it in a British accent?
Absolutely not. He's at his war camp in France with his army, and he's going around disguised as another common soldier, talking with the soldiers.
As Shakespeare does.
As Shakespeare does. And the soldiers are mad at him, or they're mad at Henry, who is not him. He is soldier number 87.
Exactly.
No, for bringing them out here for his own personal selfish causes or whatever. And he gives this beautiful speech about why they're there. And then the St. Crispin's Day.
Wait, can you read it for us?
Can you read it for us? You read it for us.
I can read it.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. No, it's so good.
Okay. I'm excited. Shakespeare monologues. Here we go.
Alright. You're gonna stop at this part.
Okay.
Intro Salisbury.
Hold my tea.
Ooh, hold your tea. I'm gonna put it down so I don't start
Okay,
drinking it.
wait, so I'm starting...
You're starting, at the...
Okay. What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not, if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my cause, wish not a man from England God's peace, would I not lose so great an honor, as one man more, methinks, would share from me. For the best hope I have, I do not wish one more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passports shall be made, and crowns for a convoy put in his purse. We would not die in that man's company, that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand o' tiptoe when this day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispin. He that shall see this day and live old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbours and say, Tomorrow is St. Crispin. Then he will strip his sleeve and show his scars. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot. But he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups, freshly remembered. And this story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispians shall ne'er go by, from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile. This day shall gentle his condition, and gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap whiles any speak that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day.
It's so good.
That's really good,
it's
though.
It's so good. I want to go fight now. I want to go fight someone for honor and things. Like, do you understand my massive crush on this person?
I can see it now. Like,
so fantastic.
That's a very, like, first of all, the prose and the way he put that together. Most people hate Shakespeare, and the more I read of him, the more I'm like, why? Because Shakespeare's really good, and he gives us stuff like that. That's like, I think one of the reasons is Shakespeare was meant to be read aloud.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if I had just read that in my head, I'd be like, all right, that's kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you read it around, there's this cadence and the tempo and the rhythm that comes with that blank verse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
so great.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We should do this more often. Read Shakespeare at each other.
Uh-huh. I can't do the accent. It's okay though.
Oh, that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Comes with time.
That was a rabbit trail.
That was a rabbit trail. We went from fantasy in film to reading Shakespeare. I like it though. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Other random fantasy questions concerning movies.
All right.
First one to think of one wins.
Oh. Well, I mean, do you want to talk about Rings of Power?
Yes.
Okay. So we've both been watching Rings of Power. We're caught up. So I'll give you all timestamps to skip over if we spoil anything. So don't worry about that. Or worry about it. Check the top of the screen somewhere. I'll put it up there. But what are your thoughts on Rings of Power so far?
I wish I could be one of those people that has like a passionate, broiling hatred for it, because I enjoy having passionate, broiling hatred for things, as you know.
Yeah, as you know.
But I like it. I mean, for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I was extremely well versed in Tolkien lore and treated it as scripture,
right,
then I would have problems with it. But right now, I'm going in with a blank. I don't know how to phrase this. It's a blank
An open
slate.
mind.
Yeah, open mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm enjoying it, and it's still pretty.
Yeah.
I have issues with some things. I'm not feeling the Arondir and Bronwyn thing.
Okay.
It's not hitting right.
All right. I can respect that.
I need something to shift there, maybe. And then Queen Muriel's armor was not it. But,
oh. Yeah. And about that thing, like with the burning passion, I've been thinking about that a lot. And one of the things that the conclusion I kind of came to is pretty much every fantasy fan wants Tolkien to be their dad. Like, I feel like this is a general... is this, like, a general thing? Of, like, if you're a really hardcore fantasy fan and you love fantasy, then, first of all, you've most likely read Tolkien and enjoyed it. But then there's, like, that sense of, like, you kind of, like, started this version of the thing that I love, And so it's like there's a sort of like protective instinct over that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like we want Tolkien to be our dad. And so then in that it's like when someone comes in and starts touching your dad's stuff, it becomes that like the playground fight of like, oh, my dad could beat up your dad. Like, and so I think there's like some of that latent protectiveness in the Tolkien fandom of like, I care a lot about this, and I care a lot about the person who made this. That like, I don't know, sparked a lot of outrage.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm in the same boat with you. Like, I came in with a pretty open mind, and I'm enjoying it. Again, some problems, but...
Speaking of dads,
okay.
Can you address what my dad said this morning about Galadriel just being angry? Because that bothered me, and I couldn't address it properly because I hadn't had brisket yet, and...
Fair.
Yeah.
Brisket.
No, biscuit.
You said brisket.
I did?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, to be fair, I hadn't had brisket either.
But you still haven't had brisket.
I'm still not here.
Well, there it is.
Brisket, though. It's good stuff.
Odd needs some brisket.
Everyone's mean to me. Address the thing.
I don't know. I think I see why you would feel that. I think I'm kind of in between you and your dad. Because also from your point of view, your personality resonates a lot more with like the, oh, let's go fight this thing happened to a person that I care about, and so I'm gonna go fight people about it. And so I think I can understand how that would resonate with you, and I think because I know you, I can respect that arc and respect like the way that was put together, because I know that like this is natural, like this is something that a person would do, hypothetically. But I can also see the other side of like, it was just like, the way the story portrayed it is she is getting revenge for her brother's death. Her brother died in battle, and she's not happy about that, and so she's gonna go kill Sauron. And I can understand why that wouldn't resonate with a lot of other people. Because most people, when their brother gets killed by an evil overlord, will just go cry in the corner for a little while. And then not do anything about it.
But when you could have vengeful death, why choose sadness? I don't understand.
Because sadness is fun.
In whose world?
Mine? I love sadness. You know this.
I know this.
Oh.
We both have kind of like attached ourselves to specific negative emotions.
We have,
and protect
though.
them very fiercely.
We have. Oh, anger and sadness.
Maybe a problem, maybe not a problem.
I think it's human. You do it. I know you do. Think.
Depends on if they're writers or not.
Oh.
I feel like this is very much a writer thing. Like,
maybe it's just a writer thing.
Terrible thing. You're mine now.
We just adopt calamities. This is what we do, though, as writers. We find terrible things and then are like, you are my child now.
And I will love you and pet you and brush your hair.
We do it, though. It's scary. I once met someone who works with the Rabbit Room, and we were talking briefly. It was at like a house concert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she goes, I mentioned that I was a writer, and she was like, oh, I knew it. Like, I feel like you can tell with writers. Like, you look at them and like, are you all right? Do you need a hug? And I was like, yeah, actually, that's pretty accurate.
I mean, okay.
Like, this is my response. Like, when I see somebody on the street and I'm like, oh, you need a hug. That's like, that person's probably a writer.
People don't do this with me. People don't tell me I need hugs.
I do.
And no, you don't count. You don't count. This is a good thing. Congratulations, you're not the general populace.
Crying.
Doesn't that make your snowflake sad as happy?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Your snowflake has been copied.
I'm a little snowflake. Yay!
Still with that.
Okay, go on.
What was I saying?
You were saying that the general populace does not think that you need a hug.
Oh, no. No. Because I give off Overlord vibes. And, like, nobody's gonna go give an Overlord a hug. Not even the minions, because they might get zapped.
I would give the Dark Lord a hug.
You would get zapped.
I would, but I would get the hug in first.
It would be a very satisfactory death for you.
Oh, absolutely. If I die hugging somebody, I die doing what I love.
Top way to go out.
Oh, absolutely. Bonus points if I hug them and then they whisper like, I always knew you'd die in my arms.
Whoa!
Just something equally dramatic.
Or like, you smell like onions or something.
Something stupid like that. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Where do we? Oh, we didn't finish talking about Rings of Power.
You're right, we didn't.
Okay. I'll give my general thoughts on it. You already gave yours. Did I give
You
mine?
want to see a reenactment of Bronwyn and Arondir?
Yes.
You want to? Okay.
Wait, we'll have to do it
Hold
so
up.
the framing's right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is perfect.
But
Use
like
the
this.
pillow.
So this is Bronwyn.
Right. No, wait. Do it. You got to do it sitting down because you're not going to be in the
You?
shot.
But then I can't tell. Okay, this is Bronwyn.
Okay.
He's like, we will protect your son, and she's like, okay, sounds good. And then they're like,
hold on, can you do that again?
no, never again.
You do realize this is going on the internet, don't you?
Nobody knows my name, but it's okay.
They're about to.
Oh, crud, no.
We need to do this more often. This is really fun. Oh, I'm gonna spill my tea again.
Nice.
Oh. Okay. I feel like I can't top that. I don't know.
Can you do the Durin voice?
Durin? I don't know if I can quite get it right.
Pitch it down just a teeny
Pitch it
bit.
down just a little bit.
A little grittier.
A little grittier. Is this Durin? No, it's not.
Not,
I don't quite remember the episode where he's using this voice a lot.
When he's more upset, his voice is much lower.
This is true. This is true.
Episode 1, Durin. He was in episode 1, right? Yes, he was.
Give me a line of Durin's.
All I remember is quail sauce because it stuck with me.
Oh, Quill. Here, wait. I don't remember that line.
It was when he like got on the rock and he was like, I forget what exactly he said, but it was like an idiom.
Oh, dwarvish idioms.
Dwarvish idioms. This is a whole different thing.
Okay, wait. What about the line where they're on the elevator, and he's like, "You missed my wedding." Is that it?
It was a little duskier than his voice, but it was pretty much
Dusk
there.
is a time of day.
I'm being evocative.
Your mom's evocative.
Whoa! I didn't say provocative.
I didn't say that either.
See, that was the punny bit.
I don't know what I'm saying. I may have to cut that out. I don't know what evocative means.
No, it's like in poetry, it evokes an image.
Oh.
Like if you say, the sky at dawn is butter colored, you know what it looks like. As opposed to, the sky is vaguely yellow.
Fair enough.
It evokes an image. Imagine if the sky was butter, though.
I would be happy with that. I'd be all right with butter sky.
If it got hot enough, if it got Houston hot, then would the sky
The sky
fry?
would just melt.
The sky would fry.
Look at the fry, Mom.
So, fantasy films, am I right?
People just chucking potatoes at the sky.
If you go outside and it's humid, do you saute?
Instead of water, it's butter. it, but I did really like Durin and Elrond's storyline. I think it's my favorite storyline that they're doing. Like, just first of all, Elrond's character is really fun, really unique. I think that it meshes really well with the Elrond that we know.
And his hair is so
His
pretty.
hair is great.
It's so satisfying.
He's got great hair.
Okay, fair
And then
enough.
just him and Durin and just like their buddy cop energy is just really fun. And watching them like testing the waters and figuring out their friendship, I think works really well. It's unique to like the Second Age. Like, it's not just, oh, the elves didn't help us when we were in trouble and
each other.
Right, yeah. And so it's not like reusing OG Lord of the Rings material, but it's like it's an interesting thing that was forged by the political climate of that time. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Do you know what the trajectory of the series is supposed to be? Like, where it goes eventually?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I'm assuming it's Sauron's rise to power.
Yeah.
And maybe it goes up until the Last Alliance? Because I
think
know
it
there...
would,
I
because
heard
Isildur's
something.
there.
Isildur is there.
So...
But I still don't... Audrey thinks that Isildur from that we see is the same Isildur who cuts off Sauron's fingers.
I think it's a stretch to say he's not.
I don't think he is. I think he's like a great ancestor of Isildur.
But we know they're squishing the timeline.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
They are?
I read something that said they're squishing like 10,000 years into a couple seasons. And so, also, they're setting him up for the ring. Like when his buddy with the really pretty hair, you know the one.
Oh, yep. That
one. I don't remember his name. But his buddy with the really pretty hair says, like, someday you'll find something that you give everything for. And, like, I feel like that is a direct setup for the ring.
Yeah.
Except twisted. Like, he's being set up to be a tragic character.
Maybe.
I think so.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Two characters that I think are being set up for tragic endings. Halbrand and Theo, who I don't really like.
Yeah, I don't like Theo.
I don't like Theo.
I feel no pity for this child. He just bothers me.
It's something, nothing against the actor, but the specific voice doesn't click with me. It feels out of place. It's kind of like, you know how when you see Dwayne Johnson in a movie and you can only see him as Dwayne Johnson? That's kind of what it feels like with this voice, in like that same way of like, I'm hearing the voice, not the character.
Okay.
And it just like, I don't know, didn't quite work for me. But I think they're setting him up to be some sort of Dark Lord character. Or, not Dark Lord character, but
like, underling.
Underling, yeah. Or almost like a corrupted chosen one, maybe.
I just wish I cared.
Yeah. He doesn't have a lot going for him. I wasn't super thrilled by that storyline. Halbrand, I'm not sure about either. I think we talked about this earlier this morning, but he's really wishy-washy. And he's very much like, oh, I'm this thing, but I'm another thing, and just kind of, he bounces back and forth a lot and doesn't have like a really strong character arc. And you mentioned that you think he's going to be the King of the Dead, which is in The Return of the King, blah, blah, blah. And I think that would fulfill his character arc really well, of like him having a tragic storyline of eventually failing and becoming the King of the Dead. I think that plays into the mythos that already exists really well, where it's like, he's not Aragorn's dad. He's not like, oh...
I mean, he can't be. He's a completely different line altogether.
Right, but they're not like trying to make him, oh, this is something that has impact on the main characters that we know and love.
Yeah.
But this is like, oh, we're gonna take kind of this less explored corner of Middle Earth and kind of flesh it out a little.
You know what I don't want?
What?
I don't want him to have had a wife who was fridged by Adar. I don't want him to be that broody man with the dead wife, because I'm so done with broody men with dead wives.
Yep, nope, please don't. Learn from Wheel of Time, whoever's doing the showrunner, whoever the showrunners are. Don't do that. We don't like it.
Just once. I want a thing where the hero's standing on like a podium and he's got a whole crowd before him and he's like, ever since my wife died, I've had this quest. And in the back there's like, Stephen, I'm not dead. And he's like, sometimes I can still hear your voice in the wind. She's like, Stephen, you little idiot, shut up, I'm not dead. I still gotta pay the mortgage.
Where did that voice come from?
I don't know.
Steven!
It was a woman voice? I don't know.
It sounded like half woman, half goose. Steven! Was a great voice though. Like, as like voice aesthetics go. That was good.
You can see why Stephen would want away, right? Like, would you want to share your life with her? This feels like the choice you should have already made, though.
Yeah. Man up, Steven.
Come on, Stephen. Do better next time.
Come on, man. Step up your game. I know SG's gonna be at home going, Steve? Steve!
Steve?
Steve!
Explain the Steves.
What? Why would the Steves need explanation?
You know, this is fair.
This is...
The right people will know.
Yep. Cheers to you. Who else? Oh, there was one critique that I had of Rings of Power that one of the things that just didn't sit very well with me is, first of all, I love the portrayal of elves in the original material in Tolkien's books. And I talked about this already. It's that mixture of joy and sorrow, and how they have like a richness of both. And then I think in Peter Jackson's films, he emphasized like the wisdom and the sorrow. And I understand why he did that, because it didn't work with the tonal aesthetics that he was crafting for Middle Earth.
It would have worked better in The Hobbit.
Yes, and you see more of that in The Hobbit than you do in The Lord of the Rings. It's an interesting comparison, though. Like, in The Hobbit, I've read this book a lot, and I've listened to long podcast lectures about Tolkien's construction of The Hobbit. But when they enter Rivendell, when the dwarves enter, the elves are sitting in the trees laughing at them. Like, they're up there cracking jokes like, hey, don't get your beard wet, Thorin! Oh, do I need to pull aside these branches for you? I don't have to, you're short. Like, they're joking and laughing and singing and just being like goofballs. And like, I think he toned it back because Lord of the Rings grew up with his audience. But there's like that, and then I think it went a step further with Rings of Power, and I didn't get like that feeling of elvishness, particularly from Galadriel. Galadriel feels like a human to me, like in just the way her story arc goes, the way she interacts with people. Like, she's kind of impulsive, she's kind of rash, she doesn't like think in the long game like I would expect an immortal elf to do. And I don't know, just like, not necessarily in who she is, but in just how she interacts with people. She doesn't seem to have a very strong elf culture. And less so with Elrond. I still think a little bit. It's just more casual, it's looser. But then, one of the things that I like is I think Arondir captured that elvishness really, really well. Like, in the subtleties, he's a very subtle actor. I really like him as an actor.
Yeah.
And like, you can see just like the little emotions on his face and the little decisions and just kind of that ponderous weight that he has to him of like, I look at him and his acting and like, you've lived for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really get that with most of the other characters. So that was just one critique that I had, but I'm loving the show overall.
Yeah. I would say to that, they have lived for hundreds of years already, but they have thousands of years to go before we see them in low
This
30s.
is true.
They have time to grow up, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of time without conflict, where they're
Right.
not having to be
Mm-hmm.
violent, impulsive, rash, etc. So you're right. They
I
have
like that, yeah.
they have different vibes,
Mhm.
but some of it can be explained away, I think.
Right. And that was another thing I heard the other day. We were talking about this
Mm-hmm.
again. But how one of the critiques I had is that Galadriel doesn't feel like the Galadriel we know. Like, she feels like a very different character. But then it was at the end of that podcast, wasn't it? And they were like,
yeah, what was it?
they said, but if we see in that one scene with Galadriel when she knows she could take the ring,
Mm-hmm.
and her resisting that is almost like, this is who I could be, this is who I have been in the past, and then her character growth is learning to resist that. And I thought that was really interesting, and it contextualized a lot of that, and I was like, okay, I can get behind Galadriel being this more angry, forceful, rash character, because I can see like her growth over thousands of years of like, this is who I could be. I still have that impulse in me, but I've learned to resist it.
How do you feel about the dialogue?
The dialogue? I don't know. I mean, it's better than a lot of things that I've watched. Even like comparing, because I watched the Wheel of Time show, watched halfway through watching Shadow and Bone, and just like comparing the dialogue from Rings of Power to Wheel of Time, it's like, this is smooth, this is cohesive. There have been very few times when somebody has said something that I'm like, oops, that didn't work.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think they did a good job with it. Nothing like, not Shakespeare, but I think they did a good job with it.
If Shakespeare is the standard, I think we're all failing.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. What about you? Any final thoughts on Rings of Power?
I think it just feels really smooth so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't seen anything that feels jarring or out of place. I want to see...
The wargs. Those, a little bit.
They look like Scout. They look like my dog. So, I have to like them a little bit.
Oh.
I want to see where Nori comes in. I don't want her to keep being over there while everybody else is in their cohesive group.
Right.
And she's still over here.
Mm-hmm. Because right now, all of those storylines have come together, except Nori's, right?
I'm trying to visualize, like, where she is on the map compared to them, because it's not close.
I think she's further up, like, closer to the Misty Mountains. Maybe, like, where Elrond and Durin are? Closer to them?
Okay. I just feel like if I get invested in everybody who's together right now, especially with episode 6, where there was no Nori. Oh, wait.
I don't think there was.
No, you're right, there wasn't.
I think Nori was episode 5.
Yeah,
had a little bit there.
Like, if she starts phasing out, for me, mentally, I guess, even if she's still there in the series, because we didn't have her in episode 6, she's not with everybody else.
Right.
I will stop being invested in her storyline.
Because it would really it'd be easy to lose that in kind of the tangle of story threads.
Yeah. We'll see on Friday. They can't push it that long.
Yeah.
2 more episodes.
Yeah. I think it was like an 8-episode season, do you think? Yeah. And I know they're doing 5 seasons, is that right?
We're gonna be so old. like 20-something, but really old.
All the Sanderson fans laughing bitterly behind the screen.
I just hope Sanderson has, like, a predecessor. Like, somebody he's chosen. Like, you.
If I die,
you are my child.
You will. But the thing is, can they do it as well as he did?
Well, I would say that he did it as well as Robert Jordan did, and he was
That's
a nobody.
fair.
He was not
He
a
was a-
nobody. He was
a nobody,
kind of a
though.
nobody.
Because I think
Yeah.
when he started doing that, he had published Elantris and Mistborn and maybe Warbreaker.
Okay, he was a nobody.
He was pretty much a nobody at
And
that
if
point.
Sanderson can do it, and if he is not the epitome of all that is good and beautiful in fantasy necessarily, then I feel like somebody else could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a different flavor, but
Hmm. I think that would be an interesting legacy. Like, Sanderson got really big because he finished Wheel of Time.
mhm.
Like, he's a good writer. He's an incredible writer on his own merit. But what like launched him upwards was he finished the last 3 Wheel of Time books, and because of that, all the people who had been following Wheel of Time for 30 years were now like, oh, this Sanderson guy is really good. What else has he written?
yeah.
And so I think it'd be interesting, like, to see a young author who's a nobody finish Sanderson's Cosmere and be like, all right, I was given this gift.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's your turn. I feel like that'd be really cool, interesting.
So if you could choose somebody that we know right now.
You.
No. Being serious.
Okay, an author?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know a whole lot of like up and coming
Me
authors.
neither.
And I don't know a whole lot of up and coming authors who write really long form epic fantasy with super hard magic systems.
Me neither.
Maybe let us know in the comments, you guys. Who would you want to finish Sanderson's Cosmere should he be taken from us
very
prematurely?
morbid.
This
What are
is
we
very
doing?
morbid. Should we like wrap up and end on like a more positive note?
Candle. for
Candle,
Sanderson.
wait.
Oh crap, it's really hot.
Are you okay?
So, fire is hot, in case nobody...
We've learned this how many times this week?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot. Fire is not things that you should stick your fingers in, apparently.
All right, well, there you have it. We can't top that. Fire is hot, you guys. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks to Audrey for just being here, sharing your wit and wisdom and force of will. And we'll see you guys.